We are ought to do science. Filtering out and negating what is inconvenient and paradigm is not science. And neither is interpreting into. Not even one ancestral marker points to out of Africa, not even after over 100 years of research highly supported and eager to prove out of Africa at all cost. Mitochondrial Eve is not African. The only marker thought to be in favor of consensus, African Eve, and out of Africa, was over 10 years ago discovered to have been carried long before by Neanderthals, and obviously not in Africa, simply because Sub-Saharan Africa never presented Neanderthals, nor carried Neanderthal DNA. In fact, this should not have been a total surprise, as Neanderthals and modern humans are quite similar, just as Denisovans and modern humans are quite similar, and exactly because of that, these three groups are called sister groups. They also have a common ancestor. Since all three of the sister groups have almost identical DNA, we can expect that this common ancestor is human too, and we should not expect it to be some primate or monkey, or anything else not human. Since there was genetic exchange between modern humans and Neanderthals 600,000 years ago, and before 2 million years ago, we can expect that this was with this common human ancestor, and this way it is even more confirmed that the common ancestor was an early modern human. This way it is also confirmed that this early modern human existed 2 million years ago. We of origin for existence claim, also based on ancestral markers and the haplotype tree, that early modern human ancestor is over 2 million years old and from start was American or out of America. Geneticist David Reich and many others, based on recent and extensive ancient DNA research, systematically claim that consensus as a whole, which he on occasions calls standard dogma, and of which out of Africa is only part of, because of continuous research and extensive ancient DNA research has become improbable, and for that reason they insist someone to rewrite human history from scratch. Science without science is dogma. For now consensus is claiming out of Africa, Beringia Land Bridge Standstill now without any scientific argument. Claiming something without any evidence at this point of time and research, is nothing more than interpreting into, and certainly not science. So when will we stop filtering out all that is inconvenient to make our narratives go on despite massive evidence against them? In other words, when will we stop doing a kind of religion or dogma, and do science instead? We of origin for existence claim, but base on ancestral markers as well as the haplotype tree and worldwide archaeological evidence that early modern human ancestor is at least 2 million years old was American, which means out of America for all 8 billion living humans. The for consensus problematic fractions. In a former video we superficially touched the problematic of the modern human Neanderthal fraction, but we did not explain it nor the equally problematic modern human Denisovan fraction. For consensus out of Africa and Neanderthal interbreeding to be possible, a same group of out of Africans would need to successfully interbreed with Neanderthals and also with Denisovans. Those out of Africans that would do this more with Neanderthals would create offspring with more Neanderthal fraction, while out of Africans that would do this more with Denisovans would create offspring with more Denisovans fraction. The out of Africans needed to do this in isolation and identical with both groups. This is clearly impossible because the Denisovan lived in totally other parts of the world. And earlier. For us of origin for existence, it is already clear that this already is totally improbable. For us of origin for existence, the peopling of the Americas that is imposed to be after the Beringia Land Bridge Standstill, is even much more improbable and far too fast, but that is for later. This hypothesized standstill of thousands or nearly 10,000 of years in deadly permafrost, even in total absence of any archaeological evidence, is necessary for consensus to hold on, this because there was no DNA in the world that could have been the ancestor of any of the Amerins in the Americas. The other way around was genetically possible, and proven by all ancestral markers, but dramatically and above all irresponsibly negated by consensus, this without giving any scientific justification for such negation. Exchanges 600,000 and 2 million years ago. The implications of consensus holding on to its improbable hypothesis are not done yet, because there were genetic exchanges between very early modern humans and Denisovans and Neanderthals and even amongst them. Fractions of exchanges from 600,000 and 2 million years before were detected. How can we modern humans, as well as the archaics, do the already improbable, already 600,000 and even 2 million years? This even before the supposed modern humans existed, and even before the archaics themselves existed. Further, there is not only the imposed time frame between 41,000 and 55,000 years ago for the Neanderthal interbreeding, there is also the imposed time limit of 200,000 to maximum 300,000 years ago, because before that date the modern human mitochondrial Eve, modern human mtDNA-L, did not yet exist. This is essential for consensus. So the whole consensus hypothesis is trapped in time and in space, and this more than once.